She thought the rancher had taken her to his ranch for cruel reasons, but what she discovered changed everything. A lonely man, a painful past, and an unexpected kindness turned fear into something she never imagined. Watch till the end to see what happens next. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more Wild West stories. Dust drifted behind the wagon wheels as they rolled across the open land. The Apache woman sat in silence, keeping her shoulders straight despite exhaustion. Her hands were free now, but she still held them close, expecting danger at any moment. Earlier that day, voices had risen at the trading camp after a misunderstanding turned into a heated argument. Before she understood what would happen next, she was told. She would leave with a rancher from farther west. She believed she knew this kind of man already, quiet faces hiding hard rules. During the long ride, she refused to speak and prepared herself for whatever waited ahead. By late afternoon, the ranch appeared beyond the hills. It was smaller than she expected, with weathered fences, a stable, and a single cabin standing under the wide American sky. She looked around for workers or guards, but saw no one. The rancher stepped down first and pointed toward the cabin. His voice remained calm. "You can stay there until you decide what you want." She narrowed her eyes, waiting for the hidden condition that never came. He carried her small bag to the porch and left it there. Then he walked away, as if giving space mattered. Inside the cabin, she expected empty shelves and cold floors, but she found blankets folded neatly, a lamp, fresh water, and a place prepared for someone to rest. She did not trust it. She stood near the window until evening and watched the rancher from a distance. He repaired part of a fence, fed the horses, and never once looked toward the cabin. When darkness settled over the land, she heard footsteps and became alert, but he only placed a tray with bread, beans, and warm tea outside the door before leaving without speaking. She waited several minutes before opening it. The next days followed the same strange pattern. Each morning she woke expecting demands, but none came. The rancher worked from sunrise to sunset and spoke only when necessary. He never asked where she came from or what happened at the camp. Sometimes she noticed tools left outside the cabin in case she wanted to help, yet he never expected it. She remained cautious and distant. One afternoon she walked farther across the property and realized there were no locked gates. Nothing stopped her from leaving, except uncertainty and the unfamiliar feeling of being treated with patience. Several days later, she stepped outside at dawn and stopped in surprise. Near the gate stood a saddled horse with water and supplies tied behind the seat. The rancher leaned against the fence and spoke quietly. "If you want to leave, the trail east is clear." She stared at him, confused. She had prepared herself for control, not freedom. For a long moment, neither moved. Then she looked across the land and back at the man who had asked for nothing. For the first time since arriving, she wondered whether she had judged him too quickly. She told herself she would leave the next morning. But when morning came, she stayed. Then another day passed, and another. At first, she said it was only to rest before continuing her journey. Yet as the days moved quietly across the ranch, she began noticing details she had ignored. Fresh blankets appeared outside her cabin after cold nights. Broken fence posts were repaired before sunrise. Water buckets were always full. Nothing was done for praise. One afternoon, while walking beyond the stable, she found a small wooden grave beneath a tree. Fresh flowers rested beside it. She stood there for a long time before hearing footsteps behind her. An elderly neighbor had arrived with supplies and noticed where she was looking. Without being asked, he spoke gently. Years earlier, he explained, the rancher had lost both his wife and young daughter during a violent raid that changed his life forever. People expected him to become bitter or angry. Instead, he became quieter and chose another path. Since then, whenever travelers needed shelter or strangers had nowhere to go, he opened his gate without asking questions. That evening the sky turned orange as she sat beside the fire outside the house. The rancher placed another piece of wood into the flames and remained silent. She looked at him for a moment before speaking. "Why did you help me?" He didn't answer immediately. The fire cracked between them. Finally, he said, "Because being afraid doesn't make someone an enemy." She looked down at the ground. No one had spoken to her that way before. She realized she had spent every day expecting cruelty and had never considered that kindness could exist without conditions. The days that followed felt different. She no longer stayed hidden inside the cabin. She helped carry water, fed the horses, and repaired small things around the property. The rancher never treated her like someone who owed him anything. When she worked, he thanked her. When she rested, he said nothing. They spoke more each evening, not about painful memories, but about ordinary things. The land, weather, horses, and places they had seen. Slowly, the ranch stopped feeling unfamiliar. For the first time in a long while, she stopped counting the days until departure. Several weeks later, she stood at the gate holding the reins of the horse that had once been left there for her freedom. The road stretched across the open land exactly as before. She could leave at any moment. No one would stop her. The rancher remained near the barn and didn't ask what she had decided. She looked at the trail, then back at the quiet place behind her. This time, she wasn't choosing whether to escape. She was wondering whether this lonely ranch had quietly become something she never expected to find. Home.